Hi! Okay, so what we've decided to do, well, at least what I've decided to do, and Sally's just kind of along for the ride, is um, since people love this recipe so much, I'm just going to put it up for uh, perpetuity. Is that the right word, you think? Ideal word? I don't know. Yeah. For use up on YouTube, so that way, in case anybody asks for it in the future, I don't have to go through the process of writing the recipe down all over from scratch all over again. Isn't that right, dear?
Yes, very much so.
Okay, so I'm just going to go through the simple steps that it takes to cook my bacon mac and cheese. Okay, so, oh, we forgot one more ingredient. Could you get the panko out, please?
Panko.
Sorry, I just rotated the camera right on your boobs and I didn't realize it, so my apologies.
Sure.
I'm not really using the viewfinder like I should be. Okay, so, alright, here is all of the ingredients that we will need. Well, actually, there isn't really one ingredient yet, but it's going to be part of the cooking process. So, first of all, you need to fill a pot full of water and some salt, get it to boiling. That's going to be for the noodles. Now, you could just use standard old macaroni, but what I like to use is cavatappi. I don't know if I'm saying that right. I'm not Italian. Sorry. But, oh, thank you. Yeah, my hands shake a little bit. So, the reason that I like these better than macaroni noodles, and you could still use macaroni noodles, you could use those little Velveeta shells. The reason that I like them a little better is because, if I can get this stupid thing open, there we go, is because instead of just having the elbow shape, if you look at that, it's a little corkscrew. And if you'll excuse me, the pasta's ready to be put in the water here. So we're just going to chuck that in and do the old trick by putting the wooden spoon over the top of it. You had it. Ah, here it is. Here it is. Right there. There we go. Give it a good old stir. And, well, you can still take that out. We'll be using it later. But, just set it over the top. Hopefully it won't boil over. This takes 6 to 8 minutes, so let's see here. Remember, it's going to cook. Oop, wait. Oh. Sorry, I gotta mess with this a second. I just gotta set the kitchen timer here. Yeah, I know. Beep, 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 beep. Got it. Okay. Try to set it a little bit on the conservative side, like the lower end of cooking it, because remember, these noodles, once they're done, they're just kind of going to be setting to the side, and we're going to throw them in the oven later, and you don't want them to be overcooked. So the next thing that we're going to do is I'm going to show you what it is that we're working with here in terms of the ingredients. Start from the beginning. What we'll be doing is we're going to be cooking a pound of bacon in the oven, and we're going to reserve a 1/4 cup of that bacon fat, and we're going to pair it up with a 1/4 cup of butter, and just fortify the butter with the bacon fat, so to speak. And then we're going to put in 1/2 cup of flour. Now, for people that know anything about how you make a roux and stuff like that for soup, they might be thinking, well, that seems like an awful lot. 1/2 cup seems like an awful lot. It would usually be a 1/4 cup, and that's correct. In most cases, that would be true. But with my experience with cooking this, the problem is if you only make a 1/4 cup worth of roux, it will separate when you put it in the oven because it can't withstand the high heat, and it'll just separate out, and your macaroni and cheese will be a greasy mess, and it's not perfect. So, alright, and the other ingredients that we have here, quart of cream. You have to have a quart. I guess you could use milk or half and half or something else, but go big or go home. You're already putting in bacon and bacon fat into this. You're not going to make this all the time. Clearly, your cardiologist wouldn't want that. And now we'll get to the cheeses. Pepper jack cheese. This is called like Gormino. I think that's like the brand. It's been aged for 6 months. It's Gruyere, and this brand of cheese here is Robin, and it's a cloth-wrapped Colby cheese. The weight for each one of these cheeses is about a ½ pound. So all told, it's a £1.5 pound, 3 different cheeses, together. So the last of the ingredients here are sort of the seasonings, pepper, salt. Those are going to be put into the sauce for taste at the end. This is also going to be for the sauce. Just maybe like a dash of nutmeg or so. Not a whole lot, just enough to give it a little bit of a dimension. And there's going to be panko breadcrumbs for the top. And then you're going to put paprika on the very top right before you bake it for color. And also, of course, after we've cooked off this bacon, we're not just using it for the purpose of getting the bacon fat. We're going to essentially take a ½ pound of this bacon. So half of what we cook off here, we're going to cut up into little pieces, and we're going to put it back into the cheese sauce so that people have that lovely bite of mac and cheese with, delicious crispy chewy bacon intermingled with it. And we've got a few more minutes to wait on the pasta noodles. So let me take a little stir here. I know it's a little high. You get into that when you're. Oh, come on, you little booger, stay on my spoon. It's a little harder to keep them on there. Ironically, we just went to Olive Garden earlier today. All right, let's see if they're ready yet. Okay. A little hot. No. Not yet. Not yet. Definitely needs a couple minutes. Almost. Sorry. Alright, yeah, if you look, we preheated the oven to 350 degrees. And, that should be done any time. So. Wait a minute. Where's that big strainer? Down there. That's right. Thanks. Sally is my lovely sous chef. And my videographer today. Okay. Yes, yes, yes. Alright. Okay. And of course you just drain the pasta. If you don't know how to do that, then frankly you shouldn't be watching this recipe. Just put it into a colander, pour it into the sink. Let me see how hot it is to. Whoop. It's alright. Perfect. Salt level's nice on it. I don't want it to be like hanging around and like overheating to the point where it like keeps cooking, so I'm just going to sort of do what they call shocking it for a minute. I'm going to spray this pan here just to get it ready. Because putting macaroni and cheese in a pan that has not been sprayed is a terrible idea. Alright.
And thank you, Sarah, for this lovely red pan.
If she's watching, I hope she's watching. Okay, so I guess I'll show you how to set up the bacon, because that's a frankly, I think this is the way that everybody should cook bacon, because it's just the most efficient way. If I can get this stupid package open all the way. There we go. Could you bring me the trash can, please? Thank you. Alright. Just gonna lay the bacon on the pan, and we got this bacon at Costco. One of the many things I love to get at Costco. It's one of those, like, I mean, it's kind of pricey for what it is, but I mean, it's pretty great. But there's other places here in town that you can get really good bacon, and of course I am speaking mostly to the Pittsburgh crowd that would be curious about this. So of course there's Woolies in the Strip District. You can find this pepper seasoned bacon that they have down there. That I've used that. That works awfully well. This is especially thick cut bacon. Like, if you take a look at it, I mean, look how thick that is. That's going to create for some really tasty, chewy pieces of bacon inside the mac and cheese. There we go. Not as many will fit on this tray, but that's fine. There'll still be enough space for us to polish off the cooking with this. Oops, there we go. Is that two in that? No, it's... Good God, that's one piece of bacon. That is huge. That's more like a ham steak than a piece of bacon. Alright. That is one piece of... Wow. Jeez. Okay. Alright. Now I need to wash my hands. Thank you, Sally. I'll have to flip the other one on its side.
How long do you want the timer for, my dear?
Let's set the time for 8 minutes. Now, I never really actually calculated out the time of how long it takes to... Did you hit start? Okay. I never actually calculated how long it takes to cook the bacon, so... And every oven's different anyways. just, I mean, and people like their bacon cooked to different times. Basically, as long as you keep cooking it to the point to where it's cooked out a lot of the fat and it's starting to get crispy, you know, and that level of doneness is up to you. It can either be like, you know, slightly chewy, but it's got most of the fat out, or like, you know, like how you like my bacon, which is practically burnt. But I'm not going to make it that way for this, so I'm going to make it a little on the crunchy side, but alright. At any rate, what we're going to do next is we are going to, you can see how it's crispy, you can see all that delicious bacon fat on the edge there. Strudel in the way, I don't know why that's there. It's okay. Alright. I'm going to set that down. Right now, I got a little bacon fat there. I'm sorry, sweetie. Okay, I gotta get another holder. The other bacon. Thought I was gonna burn myself. There we go. Thank you. Okay. I'm gonna drain the bacon fat. I'm gonna get a quarter cup of it first, so I can get started on the sauce. And then Sally can get started on the next part. Just drain the pan like that. Your sheet. Careful, careful, careful. All right. Every precious drop. Let's see how much we got here. Don't have quite enough yet. A little bit more. Well, actually, let me take a look here. Oop. Yeah. Here. No, just need a splash. We're awfully close. We're awfully close. There we go. Beautiful. All right. Okay. Put that right in there.
With the half a cup of butter.
No, quarter cup of butter.
Quarter cup of butter, excuse me.
It's half a stick. Half a stick of butter.
Do you want the burner on?
I'll take care of that. Give me just a second. Need to drain the rest of this bacon fat out. Drain it out. Okay. There we go. Because you can use it for cooking other things. I intend to. Alright, so now what we're going to do is, I mean, different stoves have different settings. I'm just going to set it to about 3. And we're going to wait for the butter to melt. Get yourself a whisk. Alright. Bacon fat's already a little hot, so. Ooh. How delightful. Okay. Ooh. Nice. Okay. Right. Get out of there, you little booger. There we go. Give it a little time. Alright. As you can see, we already took care of putting the noodles in that pan. Now what we're going to do with the bacon, get yourself a pair of tongs, if I can find them. over here anymore. I think they're in a drawer somewhere. Yeah. Get yourself a pair of tongs. And I'm sure you've seen this before. Just, ooh, that's nice. Just go over here and scoop up the bacon. Put it on a pan to drain it. Although this is kind of on the crispy side. Ooh, look at that. Num num num. Rendered bacon fat.
You want your flour in?
Is it all melted yet? Alright, yeah, go ahead and put in the flour. Okay. Now I'm just getting more paper towels to create another layer to sort of top off that part of the bacon there. If you had a wire rack, you could do something like this too. That would also be, actually, I mean, that would probably be the most desirable thing to do, but, I mean, come on, you want to go through all that trouble just to drain bacon? Just to dry it out? Alright. So the other half of this bacon that we cooked up will of course be reserved for deliciousness such as BLTs, etc. And what Sally is doing over there is she's creating a roux with the delicious butter and bacon fat. And what should happen after a period of time is that mixture that she's created and she's cooking is going to become darker in color. And eventually, once we get the flour flavor cooked out of there, about, what's it, 7 to 8 minutes? Yeah, 7 to 8 minutes. Then we can move on to the next part, and that will be adding the cream and some of the seasonings. But as it stands right now, I'm just kind of working on good housekeeping in the background here. What I need to do is sort of get myself a space over here and sort of take a look at the note. Now what you sort of do is you take a number, you take a count of the bacon that you've collected. In this case it's 14, and you just take half of that, and that's going to be how much you're going to put in there. So we're just going to take 7, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, okay, 5, 6, 7. Okay. And what we're going to do is we're going to chop the bacon up into bacon bits. Yay! Gourmet bacon bits. Alright. Get yourself your handy dandy gigantic chef's knife. And then you just go chop up the bacon. Probably about like go through it again one more time. So I know it looks big right now, but oh gosh, I wish you could smell this. It smells like a pork rind. It's the most lovely thing. Oh no, I dropped a piece of bacon. Whoops. Oh gosh. Okay. So then go through it this way. Easy. Not too much, but there we go.
And not to steal his spotlight, but cooking roux, you're going to get a caramel color, and it will bubble quite a bit, as you can see, almost like a cooking pancake. That's quite alright, but you still want to keep it on fairly low heat. And what you're looking for in this is somewhere between a dark blonde to a caramel color. Anything over that will give your macaroni and cheese a very burnt flavor. If you don't cook it long enough, you won't get the desired thickness. Now it is a loose roux with basically a half a cup of fat, but we're just about there. And if you can see those bubbles, that's about like a cooking pancake. You don't want it any more than that. And back to Matt.
Yes, and what we're going to do next is it's time to add the liquid. Okay.
Even more fat.
Even more fat. Almost ready. Okay. And the cream is not just for the delicious fat flavor, it's also for the sake of, once again, keeping the macaroni and cheese from separating in the oven. Because believe me, without using something like Velveeta cheese, it is extremely difficult to keep a macaroni and cheese from separating when it's in the oven. That was what took me years of tinkering. And if you have something with a higher fat content, such as full heavy cream instead of half and half or milk, there's a much lower chance that it's going to separate on you in the oven. And again, separation is bad. We don't want separation anxiety, okay? So, now what we're going to do is we're going to cook this, and we're going to keep cooking it until it thickens up. And of course, there's a possibility that after we add the cheese at the end of this, that it'll become too thick. And if that happens, you want to make sure that you have extra milk on standby, because you can always add more milk to sort of thin it out just a little bit, so it's not overly thick, so you can actually pour it onto your mac and cheese before you put it in the oven. But you don't want to do it the other way around. You don't want to make it too thin from the beginning, because if that happens, it's a lot harder to recover from that. So remember, too thick in the beginning, that's okay. Too thin, terrible. Sucks. Oh wait, yeah, that's right. That's right. What I told you is right. Okay, so yeah, we're just gonna keep stirring this until it thickens up, and yeah, it's a slow, gradual process. So we're just gonna use the magic of video editing, and we'll be back with you in a few minutes. And we're back. So anyway, come take a look. Look at that. It's thick and creamy, and if you listen to it, see, you can see the little bubbles kind of coming up. That's how you know it's thick enough. Just get it to that point where it's kind of like a paste. Now we're going to add cheese a little bit at a time. And this does look like it's going to be on the thick side. So we will need to add more milk. But that's fine. The really thick side. Yeah, we will need more milk. That's fine though. Okay, that's good for right now, sweetie. Put in some more cheese. Yeah, just second go around, just put in whatever you have left. Alright. Alright. Get it mixed up. Sally, would you mind getting me milk out of the fridge for me, please? Thank you. It's a little lumpy right now. See how it's kind of like in one big blob, kind of. You don't want that, so we need to get more milk in there. I'll say one, okay? That'll be good for right now. Alright. Just add enough till you can start to sort of work everything in. Whoops. Splashed up a little bit. Maybe I should make the amount of cream like a full gallon. This is a lot. Okay. Some big old chunks in there. Will eventually melt out if you keep stirring it. I might need the milk again, but we'll see in just a moment. We were very happy that Purdue beat Ohio State last night. That was amazing. Okay. It almost looked like a giant tomato in there. That actually looked like a block of Colby. Might need to wait a little bit on all the cheese to melt, but get the idea. Okay, so need to throw in a little salt, just like that much, not much. Maybe a little more. Yeah. Okay. So. Some salt, crack some pepper, Mmm. A little more black pepper. And dash of nutmeg. Yeah. You don't need a lot. There we go. Okay. Oh, and one thing that I didn't tell you about is if you look over there behind me, there is a container with some butter in it. It is the other half stick of butter that we didn't use. Now, I neglected to mention earlier.
Wrong pipe.
I neglected to mention earlier that we will be using that that butter for the panko top. Okay, so now what we're going to do. Remember, we have our oven at 350. All right. Great. Oh, this looks so good. Alright, gotta have a taste test. Gotta have a taste test. Just to make sure. You know, just to make sure. Beautiful. If Buddha ate cheese, I'm sure this would be his favorite. So, okay, we're going to put this in the mac and cheese pan over here. Roll that beautiful cheese footage. Oh, yeah.
I bet you want a spatula.
I would, please. How funny that song "At Last My Love Has Come Along" is playing on the radio. Is playing on the TV. Okay, so yeah, I'm just sort of dispersing the cheese kind of evenly over the top to make sure I don't miss any nooks and crannies here.
Bacon.
And I forgot the bacon. Thanks for letting me know about that, Sally. Why didn't you tell me? That's okay. Alright, simple fix. Normally what we would have done is we probably would have mixed in the bacon with the cheese sauce. But that's okay. What we're going to do this time is I'm just going to take the bacon bits. This will work just as well. It's a bacon garnish. Yes, bacon can also be a garnish. So this way, you know everybody's going to get a bite. It's not really going to hurt anything. So this isn't going to go in the oven very long anyway. It's not exactly going to overcook the bacon or anything like that. But remember, this is not how I'd normally make it. I would make it with putting the bacon in the cheese sauce. Okay. Beautiful. Alright. Now, what I'm going to do is I need to measure out. Come on. Come on. There we go. I need to measure out 2 cups of panko. Whole thing's about 2 cups, might as well just use it. Alright, so get your 2 cups of panko, And can you hand me one of those bowls, please? Get your panko. Oh, it's over there. Get the panko in the bowl. We're gonna put in the butter, just so it doesn't burn. Nah, I'll mix it up with my hands. What do you think this is? What do you think this is? Come on. Really? Really? Alright. Lost a few crumbs. Not from mixing, from me tumbling it all together. Remember, you don't need to have it completely crazy saturated with butter, just enough. Alright. Shouldn't take that much to get it mixed up. I'm like the two fat ladies, I prefer to mix everything together with my hands if I can. I especially like even eating food where I don't have to use any utensils. Like, that's why I love sushi, because I found out that you don't have to actually use chopsticks to eat it. It's apparently totally within the boundaries of etiquette in Japan just to eat it with your fingers. Now what we're going to do here is just put panko over the top. Try to get it as even as possible, because this is going to serve as a buffer, and it's also going to create a crunch on the top, which is going to be awesome.
You should also tell them why we're making this pan of delicious macaroni and cheese.
It's because we made a pan before. Well, I did. She helped me out with it, and it was for a get-together that I was having with some friends. And unfortunately, because of, I don't know, unforeseen circumstances or something, I forget what the reason was, but I was unable to get to their house for a while. And by the time I got there, pretty much everybody had already eaten. A couple of people had already eaten, but they said there was no way in hell that they were going to pass up on the chance to eat it anyway. Well, they did, and they thought it was great and everything, but of course they'd already eaten, so they didn't really put that huge of a dent in it. But at any rate, so we still have this full pan of mac and cheese, and we needed something to do with it, and we knew that there was no way we could eat all the leftovers in time. Which, by the way, just so you know, this is best for big get-togethers in particular, because it does not reheat well. If you try to reheat it after it's already been cooked like this, it'll separate. It'll break on you. Sorry, I hate to break your heart, but that's just how it is. But at any rate, so we made a pan of it, and we had some of it left over, and I said, hey, how about you just take it to work with you, and I'm sure all the people that are there will take care of our work for us, so to speak, so it doesn't go bad. And she said, oh yeah, that's a great idea, okay. So she takes it to her job, and she said that by the time 10:30 rolled around, it was gone, and it was more than half a pan left. So not only was it, and we're putting paprika on the top of this, by the way, for a little bit of extra flavor and color. If I can get it out of here. It's pretty old, I think. Yeah. Pretty old. Can you get me a smoked paprika? This isn't going to work.
Sure.
Hold on.
Back in
Actually,
three.
hold on a second. Hold on a second. It won't take me long. I'll use a paring knife. Okay, so to continue with the story, they tasted it. They loved it. They wanted the recipe, which is partially why I'm making this, because every time I make it and people have it, they usually want the recipe. So they wanted the recipe. They wanted. They not only just wanted her to bring it for the next potluck, they sort of voluntold her to bring it. Oh, there we go. They voluntold her to bring it by having a sign-up sheet and putting her name and the bacon mac and cheese without her consent. So, and I don't know if she told anybody or not. She told me she didn't think she did, but yeah, this is my recipe. It's all me. I just throwing that out there, and it took me years to come up with it. So I'm awfully proud of it. Yeah, let's see. Almost finished. Just evenly coating the paprika over the top. Okay, so we're all done. We put it in the oven for about 20 to 25 minutes, let's say. And we're going to take a look-see here. Yeah, it's come out. Come out, I should say. Oh, look at that. Look at that. Okay. Over here, take a gander at it. This is kind of what you want here. You want it to be mostly golden brown on the top. It's going to look a little like that because of the paprika, but see how that it's started to get nice and bubbly on the sides. You don't want it to bubble too much. You don't want it to be like bubbling in the middle because there's a worry that it's separated at that point. Because remember, the cheese sauce is already kind of hot anyway. You just cooked it before you put it into this. So there's no need to get it like scalding hot, of course. Once you reach this point, you just basically just take a serving spoon and have at it. If you want to, you can wait a little bit so that the cheese doesn't run, but who cares, really, right? You want to get at that as soon as possible. It's pretty great. Yeah, and so we won't even be eating this tonight. This is for Sally's co-workers tomorrow because they signed her up for that potluck. And I'll just sort of leave you with these parting words that when I publish this video on YouTube, I'm going to have a link in the description down below the video. It's a link to a GoFundMe site that Sally started up for me because she wants me to take some cooking lessons because she thinks I'd get an awful lot out of it, and I think I would, and I'd have a lot of fun with it. She wants it to be a bit of a Christmas present for me, so anybody who's interested in joining that, that would be awesome. Yeah, so I really hope you have enjoyed this recipe, and yeah, I will maybe post something soon. I don't know. Talk to you later.